I sent a text message on these bills the other day, and I want to start with this. These voter suppression bills, Senate Bill 7, HB6, cannot be viewed separate from the social and civil injustices highlighted by the death of George Floyd. In fact, they create a toxic environment that fuel injustices and division, which is not good for anyone. Restricting people's right to vote and allowing partisan poll watchers to video record people while they are voting should be condemned by all. And when people take a lackadaisical attitude towards these bills or refuse to stand up, they perpetuate the injustices that we find within our society. Let me just say, um, these bills are not just aimed at Harris County or Texas. These bills are a part of a national campaign to restrict people's right to vote and to intimidate people while they are voting. It is, quite frankly, these are Jim Crow 2.0 bills, and they do lead to a very toxic atmosphere. I want to applaud Chris Hollins, for example, for the work that he did at expanding people's opportunity to vote. And we're not just talking about people who were not already eligible to vote. We're talking about making it possible for eligible voters to vote in elections. And going to 24-hour voting for eligible voting just makes it accessible for working men and women who are getting off work at 10 o'clock, midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning. You tell me what's wrong with that when we are talking about eligible voters. Allowing people, for example, to go through drive-through, what's wrong with that for eligible voters? I can drive through and get a burger, a Whataburger, Burger King, Jack in the Box, any time of the day, 24/7. You mean it's easier to go and pick up something to eat than it is to be able to exercise your fundamental right? There's nothing wrong with that. And there was nothing in the law that said you could not. Bills that restrict the number of voting locations, the number of voting machines in a location, primarily in communities of color, where the lines become longer. Now, there's a whole lot wrong with that. Allowing people to be inside a voting area and video record people while they are voting, you tell me that that's not intimidating, especially for people of color who have had to fight for the right to vote. When people have had to identify, for example, how many bubbles in a bar of soap. This is just no more than a new brand of Jim Crow 2.0. And anybody who does not stand up and say no, quite frankly, you become a part of the problem. And we have to call those things out for what they are. So Senate Bill 6, Senate Bill 7, and HB6, they're not good for this state. They're not good for a democratic process. I'm proud of people like Councilmember David Robinson, who is standing up, standing with me, standing up. And let me just say this. The right to vote and protecting the right to vote and being against voter suppression should not just be the battle of African Americans or Hispanics. It should be the battle of everyone. And quite frankly, you kind of get tired of every single day and every single legislative session to be fighting back on these type of bills. You kind of get tired. But what keeps you going is that for a person like me, the second African American of 62 mayors in the city of Houston, I didn't get to where I am based on my smartness or who I am. I got to where I am on the backs of others who sacrificed, bled, and died to make it possible for me to be where I am. And now these bills are on our watch. On our watch. And it's incumbent upon all of us, individuals, businesses, faith-based organizations and leaders, community activists to stand up. Yesterday, with the verdict against Officer Chauvin on the George Floyd murder, was one step in the right direction for accountability. But don't be fooled. HB6 and Senate Bill 7 will, if passed, implemented, will be steps moving in the wrong direction. And we have to say no. I am not convinced that these bills will just go through the legislative process. I'm not convinced. And I'm certainly not convinced when good folk, good people, stand up to make a difference. And you have to stand up. And this is the defining moment. And we all have a stake in this game. So my hope and my prayer is that these bills will go down, but they won't go down on their own. When we stand up, they go down. And this is time for every single person in the state of Texas to stand up and say no, or we will fall off the cliff following those who are moving in the wrong direction. So this is our moment. This is our time. We are the Harriet Tubmans. You know, this is our opportunity to make a significant difference. So let's get it done, and I remain optimistic that we will. Thank you so very much.